Hi, welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Friday, February 2nd, 2018. Today I want to go over what's gone on in the NBA the last few days and go over my picks for the weekend for that, and same for college basketball, my Super Bowl pick, and my awards picks for the season. But first I wanted to say that in my Maddie's picks, where I do all my picks for football and basketball and whatever, for the month of January, I went 166 and 74. That's pretty good for the first round of Maddie's picks of 2018. I'm going to keep track of the February picks as well and see if I could have a better winning percentage than 166 and 74, although that isn't too shabby to start 2018 with sports games picks. The NBA the last few days was interesting, to say the least. Wednesday night, there's an ESPN doubleheader. In the first game, without Kyrie Irving and Marcus Smart, the Boston Celtics blew the doors off the New York Knicks by a score of 103-73. Boston improves to 37-15. New York drops to 23-29. Marcus Smart put up 20 points for the Celtics, although Terry Rozier had a triple-double with his first career start with 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. Enes Kanter had another great game for New York. He had a double-double, 17 points and 17 rebounds. The second part of the doubleheader, the Phoenix Suns beat the Dallas Mavericks by a score of 102-88. Dallas drops to 16-36, and Phoenix improves to 18-32, or 18-34. The big story of this game, though, unfortunately, was Isaiah Cannon, who got injured in this game, a la Gordon Hayward, twisted his ankle. Very disgusting. It was, like I said, throwbacks to Gordon Hayward on opening night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So Cannon's probably out for the season. That said, Josh Jackson, great for the Suns, put up 21 points. Dennis Smith Jr. put up 17 points and 6 assists in defeat for Dallas. TNT doubleheader last night. The Houston Rockets defeated the San Antonio Spurs by a score of 102-91. That was an impressive win for the Rockets, winning in San Antonio by double digits. They improved to 37-13. San Antonio drops to 34-20. James Harden put up 28 points and 11 assists. Danny Green put up 22 points and 3 assists for the San Antonio Spurs, who sort of been offensively challenged this season without Kawhi Leonard, although LaMarcus Aldridge just had an all-star season and deserves to be in an all-star game. Picks for the weekend for NBA. Friday night doubleheader, you have Miami at Philadelphia in the first game tonight. Give me the Philadelphia 76ers at home, led by the outstanding young duo of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I won't be surprised if Miami wins. Give me Philadelphia 108-104. Nightcap of the doubleheader, Golden State visits Sacramento. This screams big bounce-back win for Golden State after their terrible loss in Utah a couple days ago. Steve Kerr wasn't happy with his team's effort. He pretty much ripped his team. I'm going to say Golden State bounces back in a big way. Give me Golden State 120-105 on the road. Saturday primetime this week, Houston visits Cleveland. Give me James Harden, the Rockets, to get their second straight good road win against a decent team. And the Cavs have a lot of turmoil going on with them, with the Kevin Love injury and the trade talks and all this LeBron rumors that you're hearing. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And the last game, Sunday afternoon on ABC, the Los Angeles Lakers at the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's an ABC game. Give me Oklahoma City big. I think they bounce back from their loss from last night. So Oklahoma City 115-100. And speaking of Oklahoma City, they did lose last night on a buzzer beater by Gary Harris in Denver. That was just a tremendous game. Oklahoma City was down big that second half and rallied back thanks to Russell Westbrook and Paul George leading the way. George had 45 points of his own. He was just tremendous on both sides of the floor. And after that buzzer beater, a fan got into it with Russell Westbrook, and Westbrook shoved the fan. Westbrook shouldn't be punished for that because the fan literally got into his face, and fans aren't really supposed to be on the court during an NBA game. And the other NBA story I want to get to before I go to college recapping is there was a story by ESPN's Chris Haynes that came out recently that LeBron James might consider the Warriors in free agency if they open up a max slot. The case for that is that they trade away Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, and Sean Livingston. Well, 3 of those 4. Most likely Thompson, Iguodala, and Livingston. And then they have the cap room to sign them. But I don't see it happening. I think the Lakers are an interesting possibility for LeBron. I don't think the Clippers have a shot because, especially with all these, if they potentially move DeAndre Jordan and Lou Williams, then I think they're out of the race, even though that clears them cap space. And the Griffin trade cleared cap space too. But I think the Lakers are enticing for him. And obviously, he can stay in Cleveland, which I think he's ultimately going to do. So that's an interesting storyline to watch as the year unfolds. College basketball, Wednesday night, I want to touch on a couple results, some interesting ones, and I want to go over the picks I made as well. I went 10-7 on Wednesday night's games. I'll let everybody know what I got wrong and what I got right as I go. Let's start with number 5, Michigan State, defeating Penn State by a score of 76-68. I had Michigan State on the podcast. They improved to 21-3. Penn State drops to 15-9. Miles Bridges put up 23 for the Spartans, and Tony Carr put up 28 for the Nittany Lions. Number 18, Tennessee, defeated LSU by a score of 84-61. I had Tennessee on the podcast. They improved to 16-5. LSU drops to 12-9. James Daniel III of Tennessee put up 17, and Dewap Reith of LSU put up 21 in defeat. Miami defeated Pitt by a score of 69-57. I had Miami on the podcast. They improved to 16-5. Pitt drops to 8-15. Big win for Miami. They had to have that game. Anyone who has Pitt on their schedule has to win if you're an ACC team fighting for an at-large bid for the tournament. Lonnie Walker IV of Miami put up 16 in a win, and Jared Wilson Frame of Pitt put up 17 in defeat. Number 2, Virginia defeated Louisville by a score of 74-64. Great win for Virginia. They improved to 21-1. Louisville drops to 16-6. I had Virginia on the podcast. Kyle Guy put up 22 for Virginia, and Ray Spalding of Louisville put up 16 in defeat. Number 8, Cincinnati defeated Houston by a score of 80-70. And Cincinnati on the podcast. Cincinnati improves to 20-2. Houston drops to 16-5. Kyle Washington of Cincinnati put up 19 points. And Corey Davis Jr. of Houston put up 18 points in defeat. Seton Hall defeated Providence by a score of 73-57, a game that they had to have. I had Seton Hall on the podcast. They improved to 17-5. Providence drops to 14-8. Kadeem Carrington of Seton Hall put up 23, and Alpha Diallo of Providence put up 25. Iowa State upset number 15 West Virginia by a score of 93-77. That's 3 straight losses for the Mountaineers, who dropped to 16-6. I had the Mountaineers on the podcast. I was wrong. Iowa State improves to 12-9. Donovan Jackson of Iowa State put up 25, and Javon Carter of West Virginia put up 18 in defeat. And West Virginia's in a tailspin. They have a home game tomorrow against Kansas State that I'm going to pick on the podcast in a couple moments. I'll get to them in a little bit. I mentioned that a couple ACC teams on Wednesday night had trap games, and sure enough, they've been caught in the trap. Wake Forest defeated Florida State by a score of 76-72. Wake improves to 9-13. FSU drops to 16-6. Bryant Crawford put up 19 for Wake, and Phil Kofer put up 23 for the Seminoles. Georgia Tech defeated Syracuse by a score of 55-51. Georgia Tech improves to 11-11. Syracuse drops to 15-7. Josh Agoki of Georgia Tech put up 20. Tyus Battle of Syracuse put up 19. And I obviously picked Florida State and Syracuse on the podcast. That was a mistake. Number 3, Purdue defeated Maryland by a score of 75-67. Give Maryland credit. They hung around in that game a little bit. Purdue improves to 22-2. Maryland drops to 15-9. Isaac Haas of Purdue put up 20, and Bruno Fernando of Maryland put up 20 as well. Mississippi State beat South Carolina by a score of 81-76. I had South Carolina on the podcast. I also had Purdue. South Carolina drops to 13-9. Mississippi State improves to 16-6. Quindary Weatherspoon of Mississippi State put up 18. And Frank Booker of South Carolina put up 25. Virginia Tech avoided the trap and defeated Boston College 85-80 in overtime. I picked Boston College on the podcast. I was wrong with all those trap game results in the ACC. Virginia Tech improves to 16-6. Boston College drops to 13-9. Kerry Blackshear Jr. of Virginia Tech put up 20, and Jerome Robinson of Boston College put up 32. Mizzou beat Alabama by a score of 69-60. They improved to 14-8. Alabama drops to 14-8. Cassius Robertson put up 22 for Mizzou in a win. Colin Sexton put up 23 and 4-2 in defeat. Yeah, bad loss for the Crimson Tide, big win for Mizzou. Speaking of big wins, Butler with a huge road win, 92-72 at Marquette. I had Marquette on the podcast. I was wrong. Butler improves to 16-7. Marquette drops to 13-9. Marcus Howard of Marquette put up 26 points, and Tyler Weidman of Butler put up 23 points in their win. I had Marquette on the podcast. I was wrong, and I had Alabama. Got that wrong, too. A team I did have on the podcast, Texas Tech, the number 10 team in the country, defeated Texas 73-71 in overtime. Texas Tech improves to 18-4. Texas drops to 14-8. Texas Tech lucky. They won at the buzzer. Keenan Evans hit the shot at the buzzer. Finished with 38 points. Kerwin Roach of Texas put up 20 in defeat. A couple more left to touch on. Number 9, Arizona defeated Washington State by a score of 100-72. Arizona improves to 19-4. Wazoo drops to 9-12. Robert Franks of Wazoo, 25 in defeat. DeAndre Ayton of Arizona put up 25-11 in a win. And here's the last game for Wednesday. Nevada defeated Fresno State by a score of 102-92. Nevada improves to 19-4. Fresno drops to 15-8. Nevada needs these games to stay in the at-large conversation. Cody Martin of Nevada put up 22 points, and Deshaun Taylor of Fresno State put up 30 in defeat. Only 6 games that I picked on Thursday went 5-1. I'll go through which I got right and which I was wrong. Number 1, Villanova defeated Creighton by a score of 98-78. I had Nova on the podcast, 21-1. They improved to Creighton drops to 17-6. Mikal Bridges of Villanova put up 21 points. Marcus Foster of Creighton put up 20. The game I got wrong, Temple upset Wichita State 81-79 in overtime. The number 16 team in the country drops to 17-5, and Temple improves to 12-10. Quentin Rose of Temple put up 19 points, and Shaquille Morris of Wichita State put up 24 points. So I came close to going unbeaten for Thursday's games, but I ultimately did not. Number 14, Gonzaga defeated San Diego by a score of 69-59. Gonzaga improves to 20-4. San Diego drops to 15-8. Jonathan Williams of Gonzaga put up 14. Alan Carter, the third of San Diego, put up 21 for San Diego in defeat. Oregon defeated Cal by a score of 66-53. Oregon improves to 15-7. Cal drops to 7-16. Troy Brown of Oregon put up 16 points, and Don Coleman of Cal put up 16 in defeat. Number 13, St. Mary's defeated San Francisco by a score of 79-43. St. Mary's improves to 22-2. San Fran drops to 12-12. Jock Landell of St. Mary's put up 26 points and 12 rebounds, and Jordan Ruthino of San Francisco put up 8 in defeat. last game I want to touch on from Thursday. As I correctly predicted on this podcast, Washington defeated Arizona State by a score of 68-64. Washington improves to 16-6. Arizona State drops to 16-6. Noah Dickerson of Washington put up 21 points and 16 rebounds in the win, and Cody Justice of Arizona State put up 16 points in a win. Going to go through my picks for Friday and Saturday and Sunday now for the weekend for college basketball, and then I'll get to football. Friday night, there's 2 games that I'm picking. One of them involves the 22nd ranked team in the country, Rhode Island. They travel to VCU. VCU is not the VCU it was from the last couple years. I think they get the road win there in a close game. And in a big game in the Pac-12, Utah and Colorado. Utah's trying to keep its large hopes alive. Like I said, I think that team's headed to the NIT. I think Colorado gets the win on its home floor. Saturday, there's a ton of games. I'm going to try to rapid fire them all. Notre Dame at NC State. Give me NC State. No Bonzie Colson for Notre Dame. NC State at home gets the win. Number 4, Duke at St. John's. Give me Duke on the road. Big. Even though the game's at Madison Square Garden, there's going to be a ton of Duke fans there. Duke wins big. I'm going to say they win by 20 plus at MSG. I'd be shocked if St. John's kept that game close at all. So, Duke big. Number 8, Cincinnati at UConn. I think Cincinnati wins at UConn by double digits. UConn sucks this year, and Cincinnati is the best team in the AAC this season. Houston at UCF, possible trap game for Houston, but I think Houston gets the win. Butler hosts DePaul. Give me Butler. Number 7, Kansas hosts Oklahoma State. Give me Kansas. Virginia Tech hosts Miami. Give me Virginia Tech. Number 20, Clemson at Wake Forest. Possible trap game, but give me Clemson. South Carolina at Texas A&M. Give me Texas A&M at home. This was a tricky pick for me and hard, probably the toughest call of the weekend. Number 21, Kentucky at Missouri. Give me Missouri at home, and that'd be a huge win for them. Number 10, Texas Tech at TCU. Give me TCU at home. Number 24, Michigan hosts Minnesota. Give me Michigan. Providence at Marquette. Marquette absolutely has to have this game. Give me Marquette. Arkansas at LSU. Give me LSU, although Arkansas needs this game. I think it's a trap game, so give me LSU. Possible trap game for the number 2 team in the country, Virginia. They are at Syracuse. Give me Virginia in a close game in the Orange Dome. I think Syracuse shows up and Jim Boeheim's team plays hard, but Virginia pulls away with the win in the low-scoring game on the road. Number 3, Purdue at Rutgers. Give me Purdue, although I think Rutgers is going to hang around with Purdue. Rutgers has hung around with good teams a lot this season. They actually knocked off Seton Hall. Could have beaten Michigan State twice. So give me Purdue in a close one at the rack. Alabama at number 23, Florida. Give me the Gators. Number 15, West Virginia hosts Kansas State. West Virginia absolutely has to have this game. Give me the Mountaineers at home. If they lose this game, they won't be ranked next week. Just saying. Oregon is at Stanford. Trap game for the Ducks, but I think they win at Stanford. Stanford's going to give them a game, though. I think Stanford is actually not that terrible of a team. They almost knocked off Arizona a few weeks ago. So I think Oregon gets a good road win for its resume. Mississippi State hosts Georgia. Georgia needs this game, but Mississippi State's home, and they'll get it. Well, both teams need this game, but give me Mississippi State at home. Ole Miss at number 18, Tennessee. Give me Tennessee. USC, UCLA. Give me UCLA at home. Number 6, Xavier hosts Georgetown. Give me Xavier. They absolutely have to have that game. College game days headed to Austin for Oklahoma, Texas. Basketball edition of the Red River rivalry. I'm going to say Texas upsets Oklahoma. I really think Texas is going to do it. And I I'm going to say the number 12 team in the country goes down yet again this week. And they'll drop in the rankings if they indeed lose that game. A team that absolutely has to have a game this weekend, especially considering their opponent, number 19, North Carolina. They host the ACC's worst team in Pitt. Give me Carolina at home to make themselves feel good, at least. Boise State's pushing for an at-large bid. They host UNLV. Give me Boise State. Possible trap game for Nevada. They're at Colorado State. I think Nevada gets it done. Number 5, Michigan State at Indiana. Speaking of trap games, that's one for the Spartans. Give me Michigan State on the road. Indiana, yet again, will show up and play hard like they did against Purdue the other night and against Duke earlier in the year. But give me Michigan State barely on the road. Number 11, Auburn hosts Vanderbilt. Give me Auburn at home. Number 13, St. Mary's is at San Diego. Give me St. Mary's on the road. Number 14, Gonzaga hosts BYU. Give me Gonzaga. Don't forget, BYU is the lone team that knocked off Gonzaga in the regular season last year. So a little bit of a revenge game for Gonzaga there. And last but not least, number 9, Arizona at Washington. Trap game for Arizona. But I think they get it done. Although Washington just beat Arizona State, but Arizona's way better than Arizona State. Arizona State's probably the most overrated team in the country that's ranked right now. Although there's a couple other teams who can make a case for that. But give me Arizona in a close one. I think Washington shows up for that game. Picks for Sunday's games. There's only a couple that I'm going to pick. The first one being Georgia Tech at Boston College. Give me Boston College at home. Ohio State hosts Illinois. Give me Ohio State. Number 1, Villanova hosts Seton Hall. Give me Villanova. Big. Maryland hosts Wisconsin. Give me Maryland. And last but not least, number 25, Arizona State at Washington State. Now, yet again, a trap game for Arizona State. But give me the Sun Devils on the road. They absolutely have to have this game. Before I make my Super Bowl pick, I'm going to give you my awards picks. They hand out the NFL awards tomorrow night. So I'm going to give you my picks. MVP, Tom Brady. He defied age most of this season on the team with the best record in the AFC. It's Tom Brady. And this award would have been Carson Wentz's to lose if he didn't tear his ACL. And Brady deserves a ton of credit. He lost Julian Edelman for the whole season. A couple other guys missed some games throughout the season. And Brady deserves all the credit. So MVP for Tom Brady. Offensive Player of the Year, Todd Gurley of the Rams. This was his coming out party, breakout year. Under first-year head coach Sean McVay. He also deserves credit for leading his team to the playoffs. He's also in the MVP conversation. Defensive Player of the Year, Calais Campbell of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the leader of that front seven of Jacksonville. 14.5 sacks. To me, he's the winner, although Aaron Donald, you can make a case, deserved that award. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. He's an excellent rookie back, catching passes out of the backfield. He is what we thought Christian McCaffrey was going to be the whole season. And the Saints got a steal in the third round of that draft, and he helped them big time this season get back to the playoffs for the first time in a couple years. And same with my Defensive Rookie of the Year pick, Lattimore of the Saints, one of the leaders on the improved defense. Marshawn Lattimore. I couldn't think of his first name. He was just excellent this season and deserves a ton of credit for improving the Saints secondary. And The Coach of the Year, Sean McVay of the Rams. Excellent job this season by him. And although Doug Marrone deserves some consideration here, obviously Belichick, Doug Peterson, Mike Zimmer, Sean Payton. There's a lot of excellent candidates for this award, but my pick is McVay. Nobody expected the Rams to make the playoffs this season. Many people thought they were a sub-500 team in that division. I think I had them at 6-10 before the year. And he deserves a lot of credit for the development of Jared Goff as well. And to dethrone the Seahawks in that division. He deserves all the credit in the world. In the Comeback Player of the Year, Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers. A ton of 100-yard games this season after touring his ACL the year before. So he's my pick for Comeback Player of the Year. And last but not least, what everybody was waiting for, my Super Bowl 52 prediction. Will Tom Brady and Bill Belichick add their 6th championship to their dynasty? Will the Philadelphia Eagles finally win their first Super Bowl in their franchise's history? Here's my pick. Although it's chalk on paper, but this wasn't the Super Bowl many expected once the regular season ended due to the fact that Carson Wentz is out for the season due to a torn ACL. That said, give the Eagles and Nick Foles in particular credit for making it to this point, and their NFC Championship game win over the Minnesota Vikings was very impressive. The Patriots are here yet again, and their path was easy, and we're lucky that they avoided the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 weeks ago, although the Jacksonville Jaguars made the Pats look vulnerable in the AFC title game as well. Both offenses have been really good throughout the playoffs, led by good quarterback play, good running games, and receivers making plays. Both teams' defenses have shown warts at points during the playoffs, but for the most part have been very good in the playoffs. The Eagles arguably have the advantages with their skill position players such as Zach Ertz, Jay Ajayi, Alshon Jeffrey, etc., and defense in Fletcher Cox and Malcolm Jenkins among them. But the Patriots have the advantage that any team can have, and that is the quarterback coach combo advantage of Brady and Belichick. And that is, like I said, the best combo any team can have. I always learn not to bet the Pats in a big spot against it's a certain matchup that I feel that could beat them outright. If Wentz was playing, I'd still pick the Patriots. That said, the Patriots will win their 6th championship in franchise history in a close game. New England 30, Philadelphia 24. My pick for the Super Bowl MVP, Tom Brady. So there's a good chance Tom Brady comes home with not only the regular season MVP tomorrow night, he might have the Super Bowl MVP on Sunday night as well. That's it for today. I'll be back Monday recapping the big game, recapping what went on in college basketball this past weekend, as well as the NBA and other big stories that are upon us. Preview the NBA trade deadline, although there has been some more rumors and movement since, or maybe there'll be more moves to come within the next 3 days before I do my podcast again. And next week at some point I'll put out a mock draft and I'll do that. So enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody.